Well, let's talk about some history here. You've been in the valley for a long time. It's a family effort you have going here. You and your brother operate the winery, own the winery, correct?
Yes.
I guess it's fair to say you were kind of born into a wine family. Is that?
Not born into it, but we bought. We, meaning my family, my parents bought this parcel in the late 60s, so essentially 55 years ago. My folks raised a family over in the town of Sonoma and bought the property over here about 10 years after they settled in Sonoma, so late 60s. I was in grade school. My brothers were a little bit older. So that was never really the intent that, early on, that we were going to be carrying on some kind of a wine legacy or be woven into the local wine industry. However, it did turn out that way. But again, it was a long, drawn-out decision to get to the point we are now, because for the first 20 years, we were growing and selling to other wineries. We did some exploratory winemaking in 1990, 10 tons, 600 cases of Cabernet, and so that was our first vintage, but that was maybe 5% of the fruit that we grow here, and still continued to sell. And then throughout the 90s, we slowly, incrementally grew our production, still selling off the majority of the fruit. And then we did make a decision as a family, kind of pivoted in the late 90s to basically redevelop the vineyard. A lot of it needed to be redeveloped, both for old vines, phylloxerated vines, and then some inappropriate varietals that we just wanted to get rid of and get more into the lineup of varietals that we would do for our own project for the Titus Vineyards label. And with that, we pretty much made up our mind that we were going to stop selling fruit and strive to incorporate everything into the Titus Vineyards label. But we did do a lot of redevelopment of the vineyards in a very short period of time, between 99 and 2001. And as a result, we had a lot of fruit come on at one time, come 2004, 2005. So we were selling some of that while we were ramping up our production. But the intent and ultimately the result was that, everything that was grown on the estate stayed with in the Titus label, Titus Vineyards label. So that's where we are now. Born into it? Not really, but evolved into it for sure, grew into it.
How many acres are you farming?
We have 50 acres total, and it's about 45 that are under vine. Maybe after we built this winery, call that 43. Yeah.
But it's interesting, this evolution to go from selling grapes to deciding to make wine, and then figuring out if you're banging your head against the wall or not.
Yeah.
And then to go into, full-blown tasting facility. It's a beautiful facility, and it's right on Silverado Trail, which makes it very handy.
Thank you.
But again, a very heavy decision, I'm sure.
It was, and I think it was something we talked about for a long time. Early on, late 90s, early 2000s, if you were a small boutique winery, you pretty much had a market, but that field got very crowded very quickly. It was low overhead, and we were selling most of it to wholesalers, so you're selling it, a fraction of the cost of the final bottle price. But with low overhead, that made sense for a while. When a small boutique winery could sell most of it by picking up the phone, that changed. And by the time we got to the mid-2000s, and recall that the recession was going on, and a lot of changes were going on in the world of distribution, and it just got to be more and more difficult. Building the winery gave us the opportunity to focus on the direct sales. That was part of the decision. But also, ultimately, we just felt as a brand, we needed a little bit more identity, and that a brick and mortar would give us. And we've got this beautiful piece of property, and it's all estate, but there's no way to showcase it. Fortunately, the cost of building was approachable because, again, this was post-recession. Materials were cheaper. Contractors were very available, looking for work. So we were able to build it at a reasonable cost, especially compared to what it would be now. Yeah,
We're reasonable.
And it's never easy.
Yeah.
It's never easy, but we felt that it was the right decision. And I think that, as you said, it's a very nice facility. We got the right team of contractor and architect, and we were able to put something together. We're very centrally located, as you mentioned, so that part of it's played out quite well.
This is my favorite question to ask winemakers, and you can take a moment to think about it. What's the one question that you've never been asked that you would like to be asked?
Yeah. I guess, one of the things that, and again, this is going to be roundabout, but, still kind of come around to is like, what, you get asked, why are you in the wine business quite a bit? How did it happen? And I guess, part of it is like, what do you really get out of it? And I guess in the end, and it took me a while to kind of realize that more than anything else, I wanted to be in the wine business. I didn't want to be in one specific sector of it. I like to be able to embrace the whole business, the whole industry, I should say, every aspect of it. And so it really comes down to, what I really wanted ultimately was to own a wine business, and that could come in many ways. And the grape growing wasn't, I enjoy it quite a bit. It wasn't something that I came here thinking like I want to be a vineyard manager. I want to just get my feet dirty the whole time and dirt under my fingernails. That's fun. As far as the winemaking aspect of it, I got a strong background in chemistry and biochemistry, going way back. That's what I studied all through college and graduate school. So I actually thought it would be a natural. I think I was maybe chemistry'd out by the time I got to be of a certain age and more interfacing with it. I did an internship, which actually kind of bored me. So I was like, but not enough to be a deterrent. It was like, I don't want to just be focused on that aspect the whole time. I don't have a sales background, but I certainly learned it pretty much the same way everybody else did. Selling wine back in the 90s, it's very different than it is now. And we've all just sort of felt our way through it and figured it out as we went. And but you bring all those together, and then it's fulfilling, then it's gratifying. And having the wine business where, I've got several employees who all have their areas of specialty, and they report back to me on that. And just being able to form that whole entity, that's where the gratifications really come as far as being in this business. And when I backtrack to 25 years ago, when kind of starting out, working for another winery wouldn't, or just another entity, a broker or something like that, that would not have been fulfilling at all. And it really kind of came down to, this is the one place that I really felt that the niche that I wanted to be in this industry.
Well, it calls you.
Ultimately, yeah. This piece of property has been in the family. It's it's a historical piece of property, even preceding my family owning it, and it really just seemed like a good foundation to build what we have here. So yeah, long story short, that is maybe no one's ever come around to ask that that pointedly exactly what are you getting out of being in this business, but that's the one thing that. I think when people ask, how'd you get in the wine business? Why do you like it? They're kind of focusing more on, don't you just love making wine?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Don't you just love growing grapes?
The romance.
Yeah. And it does go beyond that.
Again, a wonderful tasting room here right on Silverado Trail. Are you by appointment? Can people wander on in? How does it work here for you guys?
Well, the way that the regulations for the county read is, yes, it's by appointment. And it's always good to know who's coming in anyway. But we are, legally able to make an appointment pretty much on the spot. And again, as you said, given our location, we do have people who just drive by, see the sign. Oh, I know Titus. I'd love to go there. And then they ask if they can, if we have a spot for them, and If we do, then we give them an appointment on the spot. So, yes, but the way the county reads, and we have a sign out there, this is by appointment only, and that's by county regulation.
Most importantly, for our listeners who'd like to learn about Titus Vineyards and to learn about you as well, what's your website?
The website is titusvineyards.com.
You had to think about that for a minute, didn't you?
Yeah. That's right, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, be sure. Thanks to you coming down today last minute during harvest, because I managed to mess up the booking time for this, but harvest is just a nutty time. In fact, people could see in the background there's a lot going on behind you.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the trip.
Absolutely. And I guess it's just a testament to how compact everything is, because this time of year I wouldn't have been more than the 5 minutes away that I was.
Yeah.
And so...